Hello everybody, look where we are. Beautiful ocean. There's a tractor in the way of my old spot. So today we're gonna read At the Back of the North Wind, and I'm just gonna get right into it. I did the intro in the last two videos, so this is the third one, but trust that you're here for a reason. And you don't have to understand it this way, you can just understand it as a story. But a lot of stories, God gives them to us because they reveal help on your way, on your we are souls. George MacDonald said that. This is a George MacDonald story. C.S. Lewis considered him his spiritual master, like taught him about the Spirit. He said no one was closer to the Spirit of Christ than that he had read than George MacDonald and the Christ himself in the scriptures. And so, look, I switched sweatshirts when I got to my car to get the bag, and it says, the best time for new beginnings is now, right? So rise, open your soul eyes. It's resurrection power. All right, that's just what's coming to my heart on the way here. That all of these stories, I look like an idiot. I don't mind. On my YouTube channel, just making videos with all sorts of what looks like random things. But in the Psalms, God says, it says, come before his presence with a song. And so we bring the song to him. All right, these tractors are behind us. I don't know what we'll do. They were not in their tractors when I showed up here. Look at the sun. If it's loud, I'll just figure out. Hopefully they're not gonna plow through where I am. They're making a new road. We'll just deal with what is. I will move if I have to, but there's the ocean. Let's see. And I was just reflecting on the way up here. I was meditating, but I was getting this feeling like his mom can be like our mom. She's representing God in a new way for us. And the north wind can be like our mother. And the north wind is like the Holy Spirit. But I welcome all faiths. And just, this will be like life. You have to just, don't listen to what's behind. Oh, I forgot to introduce my dog. There she is. If we go back on the path, then we don't get the ocean though, but. So, okay. So, Diamond is here. The little boy is Diamond, and it's okay. What is it, Leia? Oh, shoot. Okay, hold on. I hear something breathing. Yeah, I'll go back up. All right, we'll talk about the story a little more. I was planning on entering straight into the story. Let me make sure I have everything. I don't want to be below where they're digging, though. That doesn't sound... Come on, Maya. Safe. But I didn't want you to have just a picture of a tractor, but whatever. All right. So, they're looking at me strange. Let's just go back to our normal spot. This can be it. welcome. You get to either watch all that with me or you fast forward to here. So there was one rose left. Oh, I forgot. I just showed you my... I was wearing a different jacket and it was like... Sorry, you guys. My camera kept going off when I was up on the mountain and I didn't realize it, and then it stopped going off for the last 40 minutes. Much love. I got this picture from God this morning, so I just trust that I'm meant to be here. So we get to just deal with it. I don't always know the exact place. He just showed me up here and with the book. So... All right, he ran and knelt down to look at it. It was a primrose, a dwarfish thing, but perfect in shape, a baby wonder. As he stooped his face to see it close, a little wind began to blow, and 2 or 3 long leaves that stood up behind the flower shook and waved and quivered. But the primrose lay still in the green hollow, looking up at the sky, and not seeming to know that the wind was blowing at all. You see, the primrose was just there. And the wind had been blowing pretty hard right that moment. It was just a one eye that dull black wintry earth had opened to look at the sky with. All at once, Diamond thought it was saying its prayers, and he ought not to be staring at it so. He ran to the stable. Look, there's my bookmark as well, a rose. Staring at the sky, saying its prayers. That's when we give our lives over right now to be quiet and to let God speak to our hearts. It's a kind of prayer. So we get to just ignore what is going on around. Father's horse, his father runs a livery or whatever, you'll see. Then his father took him in his arms, carried him up the ladder, and set him down at the table where they were going to have their tea. Miss is very poorly, said Diamond's father. Mrs. has been to the doctor with her today, and she looked very glum when she came out again. I was a-watchin' of them to see what doctor had said. And didn't Miss look glum too? Asked his mother. Not half as glum as Mrs. I think they're talking about the master. He works for this man who lives next door, and that's whose garden Diamond was just in. I think that's where we were. But don't worry where we are. You can listen to the last 2 videos or just stay here with us and you'll catch up. It'll all make sense. Diamond's this little boy, and the north wind has been calling him lately, but his mother thinks he was sleepwalking. But he lowered his voice, and Diamond could not make out more than a word here and there, for Diamond's father was not only one of the finest of coachmen, so he was a coachman to look at, and one of the best of drivers, but one of the most discreet of servants as well. Therefore, he did not talk about family affairs to anyone but his wife, whom he had proved better than himself long ago, and was careful that even Diamond should hear nothing he could repeat again concerning Master and his family. So it is, see, I told you. And for Diamond not to go with her just because she's beautiful, because lots of beautiful things can be deceptive. But if something is truly good, Jesus said the same. He said, by their fruit you will know them. Look at this cactus. There's blooms on these cactuses. Cacti. Fruit on a cactus, right? God can do anything. Oh, shoot. Somehow the camera went off and I didn't notice it. Maybe, I don't know why. It is a new phone, so I have to, anyway. So, I'll go back a little bit to where I was. So, he had stooped down at the rose. If there's a little bit of overlap, then just go with it, right? As he stooped his face to see it close, the little wind began to blow, and 2 or 3 long leaves that stood up behind the flower shook and waved and quivered. But the primrose lay still in the green hollow, looking up at the sky and not seeming to know that the wind was blowing at all. It was just a one eye that the dull black wintry earth had opened to look at the sky with. All at once Diamond thought it was saying its prayers, and he ought not to be staring at it so. He ran to the stable to see his father and make Diamond's bed, the horse's bed, right? Then his father took him in his arms, carried him up the ladder, and set him down at the table where they were going to have their tea. "Miss is very poorly," said Diamond's father. "Mrs. has been to the doctor with her today, and she looked very glum when she came out again." "I was a-watching them to see what doctor had said. And didn't Miss look glum too?" asked his mother. "Not half as glum as Mrs., right? The moms feel it when their children are sick," returned the coachman. "You see," but he lowered his voice, and Diamond could not make out more than a word here and there, for Diamond's father was not only one of the finest coachmen to look at, and one of the best of drivers, but one of the most discreet of servants as well. Therefore, he did not talk about family affairs to anyone but his wife, whom he had proved better than himself long ago, and was careful that even Diamond should hear nothing that he could repeat again concerning Master. All right. I had to do the math because I didn't know how much video had been recorded, and I have to get back to take my kid to school. He was very careful even, so he was a coachman for this family where the primrose was in their garden. It's okay. It's okay, Leah. Diamond should hear nothing he should repeat again concerning Master and his family. It was bedtime soon, and Diamond went to bed and fell fast asleep. He woke all at once in the dark. "Open the window, Diamond," said a voice. Now Diamond's mother had once more pasted up North Wind's window. "Are you North Wind?" said Diamond. "I don't hear you blowing." "No, but you hear me talking." Earlier in the book, she had said, "You might not always recognize me. I might look very beautiful or might look very ugly. So you'll have to know who I really am in order to recognize." "Open the window, for I haven't over much time." "Yes," returned Diamond, "but please, North Wind, where's the use? You left me all alone last time." He had been crying, Here's the ocean again. He had got up on his knees and was busy with his nails once more at the paper over the hole in the wall. For now that the North Wind spoke again, he remembered all that had taken place before, as distinctly as if it had happened only last night. "Yes, but that was your fault," returned North Wind. "I had work to do, and besides, a gentleman should never keep a lady waiting." Oh, wow. He stopped last time to brush the head of Diamond, the horse's hair, and pet his nose and stuff. It seemed like a nice thing to do, but he had left the North Wind waiting, and she's like God. I heard someone say that God's love language is obedience, right? Not because God's a narcissist, but because God knows. God's playing a chessboard, like 1,000 chessboards higher than ours. "But I'm not a gentleman," said Diamond, scratching away at the paper. "I hope you won't say so 10 years after this." "I'm going to be a coachman, and a coachman is not a gentleman," persisted Diamond. "We call your father a gentleman in our house," said North Wind. A true lady and a true gentleman. That was in the last chapter a little bit. "He doesn't call himself one," said Diamond. "That's of no consequence," said, the North Wind said back. "Every man ought to be a gentleman, and your father is one." Diamond was so pleased to hear this that he scratched at the paper like 10 mice. And getting hold of the edge of it, tore it off. The next instant, a young girl glided across the bed and stood upon the floor. "Oh dear," said Diamond, quite dismayed. "I didn't know. Who are you, please?" She said, "I'm North Wind." "Are you really?" "Yes, make haste." "But you're no bigger than me." "Do you think I care about how big or how little I am? Didn't you see me this evening? I was less than..." "No." "Where was you?" "Behind the leaves of the primrose. Didn't you see them blowing?" Yes? Make haste then, if you want to go with me. But you are not big enough to take care of me. I think you are only Miss North Wind, like, right, not the Mrs. The daughter. I am big enough to show you the way anyhow. But if you won't come, why, you must stay. I must dress myself. I didn't mind with a grown lady, but I couldn't go with a little girl in my nightgown. Very well. I'm not in such a hurry as I was the other night. Dress as fast as you can, and I'll go and shake the primrose leaves until you come. Right. Don't hurt it, said Diamond. North Wind broke out in a little laugh, like the breaking of silver bubbles, and was gone in a moment. Diamond saw, for it was a starlit night, and the mass of hay was at a low ebb now. The gleam of something vanishing down the stair and springing out of the bed. He dressed himself as fast as ever he could. Then he crept out into the yard, through the door, in the wall, and away to the primrose. Behind it stood North Wind, leaning over it and looking at the flower as if she had been its mother. Come along, she said, jumping up and holding out her hand. Diamond took her hand. It was cold, but so pleasant and full of life. It was better than warm. She led him across the garden. With one bound, she was on top of the wall. Diamond was left at the foot. Okay, let me just check. So behind the primrose rose, I know I just read this part, but I was just, my mind went for a second, stood the North Wind, leaning over it and looking at the flower as if she had been its mother. I was just thinking how that I was saying that. It's so wild. I was getting that on my heart on the way up here, is just that. It's like if God is both our mother and father. Psalm 27:10 says that. When my father and mother forsake me, when I keep trusting in the lesser things on this earth, and they keep proving themselves not to be the fullest of love, then the Lord, the I am that I am, with a capital Lord, the I am that I am, the eternal existent one, picks me up. So we get to have this mothering of God through these things, right? Through this beautiful earth that God created. Through the sun shining on our faces. Through the primrose, through the North Wind, through the Holy Spirit. It's all mothering and fathering. We're not in lack. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. Anyway, I won't go on. I don't mean to preach. Just let's enter the story and trust there's enough there. Come along, she said, jumping up and holding out her hand. Diamond took her hand. It was cold, but so pleasant and full of life. It was better than warm. She led him across the garden. With one bound, she was on the top of the wall. Diamond was left at the foot. Stop, stop, he cried. Please, I can't jump like that. You don't try, said North Wind, who from the top looked down a foot taller than before. Give me your hand again, and I will try, said Diamond. She reached down. Diamond lay hold of her hand. She gave a great spring and stood beside, gave a great spring and stood beside her. This is nice, he said. Another bound. They stood in the road by the river. It was full tide, and the stars were shining clear in its depths, for it lay still, waiting for the turn to run down again to the sea. They walked along its side, but they had not walked far before its surface was covered with ripples, and the stars had vanished from its bosom. And the North Wind was now tall as a full-grown girl. Her hair was flying about her head, but the wind was blowing a breeze down the river. But she turned aside and went up a narrow lane, and as she went, her hair fell down around her. All right, here's the picture of her picking him up and him weeping. I have some rather disagreeable work to do tonight, she said, before I get out to the sea, and I must set about it at once. The disagreeable work must be looked after first. You know, it's like do my workout on the way here, get it done, so that we get this reward of this story. It's like, anyway. So saying, she laid hold of Diamond and began to run, gliding along faster and faster. Diamond kept up with her as well as he could. She made many turnings and windings, apparently because it was not quite easy to get him over walls and houses. Once they ran through a hall where they found back and front doors open. At the foot of the stair, North Wind stood still, and Diamond, hearing a great growl, started in terror, and there, instead of North Wind, was a huge wolf by his side. He let go his hold in dismay, and the wolf bounded up the stair. This is what I thought I heard, like a coyote or something. Some dog down there. I don't know what else is who knows? Maybe it was just the worker walking by. The windows of the house rattled. So he let go his hold in dismay, and the wolf bounded up the stair. The windows of the house rattled and shook as if guns were firing, and the sound of a great fall came from above. Diamond stood with white face, staring up at the landing. Surely, he thought, North Wind can't be eating one of those children. Coming to himself all at once, he rushed after her with his little fist clenched. There were ladies in long trains going up and down the stairs, and gentlemen in white neckties attending on them, who stared at him, but none of them were of the people of the house, and they said nothing. Before he reached the head of the stair, however, North Wind met him, took him by the hand, and hurried down and out of the house. "I hope you haven't eaten a baby, North Wind," said Diamond very solemnly. North Wind laughed merrily and went tripping on faster. Her grassy robe... Don't worry. I'm sure it's nothing like... Anyway, her grassy robe swept and swirled about her steps, and wherever it passed over withered leaves, they went fleeing and whirling in spirals and running on their edges like wheels all about her feet. "No," she said at last, "I did not eat a baby." "You would not have had to ask that foolish question if you had not let go your hold of me." He would have gone with her and seen exactly what happened, but he saw her as a wolf, right, and let go. "You would have seen how I served a nurse that was calling a child bad names and telling her she was wicked. She had been drinking. I saw an ugly gin bottle in a cupboard." So a nursemaid that was taking care of a baby or a child was calling it all sorts of names because she was under the influence of this gin. And you frightened her," said Diamond. "I believe so," answered North Wind, laughing merrily. "I flew at her throat, and she tumbled over on the floor with such a crash that they ran in. She'll be turned away tomorrow, and quite time, if they knew as much as I do." So then all those people came up and saw her drinking, and she's fired and never will say that again to the young child. Thank God, thank the Maker, right? Who came in, who does come in at some point. "But didn't you frighten the little one?" "She never saw me. The woman would not have seen me either if she had not been wicked." "Oh," said Diamond dubiously. Why should you see things?" Why should you see things," returned North Wind, "that you wouldn't understand or know what to do with? Good people see good things. Bad people, bad things." "Then are you a bad thing?" "No, for you see me, Diamond dear," said the girl, and she looked down at him, and Diamond saw the loving eyes of the great lady beaming from the depths of her falling hair. Here's the picture. We'll understand. "I had to make myself look like a bad thing before she could see me. If I had put on any other shape than a wolf's, she would not have seen me, for that is what is growing to be her own shape inside of her." Oh, wow. That woman with the gin and everything and with the name-calling was growing into a wolf. And so the North Wind had to show her a wolf to set her straight. "I don't know what you mean," said Diamond, "but I suppose it's all right." They were now climbing the slope of a grassy ascent. It was Primrose Hill, in fact, although Diamond had never heard of it. The moment they reached the top, North Wind stood and turned her face towards London. Oh, I almost wore my London shirt. I was debating. I had a pink shirt that said London all over it. It's so funny why I was sitting there going, should I wear this? Sit there. The stars were still shining clear and cold overhead. There was not a cloud to be seen. The air was sharp, but Diamond did not find it cold. She told him he wouldn't. If he is with the north wind, it wouldn't be cold. But outside the north wind, it gets cold, right? "Now," said the lady, "whatever you do, do not let my hand go. I might have lost you the last time, only I was not in a hurry then. Now I am in a hurry." Yet she stood still for a moment. Okay, so that chapter was called Old Diamond. So now we're going into chapter 4, chapter 4, called North Wind. And so this book was written in the 1800s, so it's free for me to read. This is why I'm reading it. I mean, that's not why I'm reading it. God called me to read it. And so I'm being obedient, as silly as that may sound. And as she stood looking towards London, Diamond saw that she was trembling. "Are you cold, North Wind?" he asked. "No, Diamond," she answered, looking down upon him with a smile. "I'm only getting ready to sweep one of my rooms." "Those careless, greedy, untidy children make it in such a mess." And as she spoke, he could have told by her voice, if he had not seen with his eyes, that she was growing larger and larger. Her head went up and up towards the stars, and as she grew, still trembling through all her body, her hair also grew longer and longer and lifted itself from her head and went out in black waves. The next moment, however, it fell back around her, and she grew less and less till she was only a tall woman. Then she put her hands behind her head and gathered some of her hair and began weaving and knotting it together. When she had done, she bent down her beautiful face close to his and said, "Diamond, I'm afraid you would not keep hold of me, and if I were to drop you, I don't know what might happen. So I have been making a place for you in my hair. Come." So she made like a boat. I'll show you the picture. It's just that God provides for his children. God is beyond he and she, like I was saying earlier. I hope that got in there. Psalm 27:10. When my mother and father forsake me, the Lord, the I am that I am, picks me up. Diamond held out his arms, for with that grand face looking at him, he just believed like a baby. She took him in her hands, threw him over her shoulder, and said, "Get in, Diamond." And Diamond parted her hair with his hands and crept between, and feeling about, soon found it the woven nest. It was just like a pocket, or like a shawl, in which the gypsy women carry their own children. Their children, right? Like the papoose for the Native American. North Wind put her hands to her back, felt all about the nest, and finding it safe, said, "Are you comfortable, Diamond?" "Yes, indeed," answered Diamond. The next moment he was rising in the air. North Wind grew towering up to the place of the clouds. Her hair went streaming out from her till it spread like a mist over the stars. She flung herself abroad in space. Diamond held on by two of the twisted ropes, which parted and interwoven formed his shelter, for he could not help being a little afraid. As soon as he had come to himself, he peeped through the woven meshes, for he did not dare to look over the top of the nest. The earth was rushing past like a river over a sea below him. Trees and water and green grass hurried away beneath. A great roar of wild animals rose as they rushed over the zoological gardens, mixed with a chattering of monkeys and a screaming of birds, but it died away in a moment behind them. And now there was nothing but the roofs of houses, sweeping along like a great torrent. It's okay, Leah. Of stones and rocks. Chimney pots fell, and tiles flew from the roofs, but it looked to him as if they were left behind by the roofs and the chimneys as they scudded away. There was a great roaring, for the wind was dashing against London like a sea. But at North Wind's back, Diamond, of course, felt nothing of it at all. He was in a perfect calm. Hold on, the dog got wrapped up in my stand. Hello, Bee. But at North Wind's back, Diamond, of course, felt nothing of it at all. Nothing of it all. He was in a perfect calm. He could hear the sound of it, that was all. By and by, he raised himself and looked over the edge of his nest. There were the houses rushing up and shooting away below him, like a fierce torrent of rocks instead of water. Then he looked up to the sky, but could see no stars. They were hidden by the blinding masses of the lady's hair which swept between. He began to wonder whether she would hear him if he spoke. He would try. "Please, North Wind," he said. "What is that noise?" From high over his head came the voice of the North Wind, answering him gently. "The noise of my besom." I don't know what BESOM is. I don't know if it's a misspell or if it's, we'll see. "I am the old woman that sweeps the cobwebs from the sky, only I'm busy with the floor now. What makes the houses look as if they were running away? I am sweeping so fast over them. But please, North Wind, I knew London was very big, but I didn't know it was so big as this. It seems as if we should never get away from it. We are going round and round, else we should have left it long ago." "Is this the way you sweep, North Wind?" "Yes, I go round and round with my great besom." Maybe it's like a broom or a vacuum. "Please, would you mind going a little slower, for I want to see the streets." "You won't see much now." "Why?" "Because I have nearly swept all the people home." "Oh, I forgot," said Diamond, and was quiet after that, for he did not want to be troublesome. But she dropped a little towards the roofs of the houses, and Diamond could see down into the streets. There were very few people about, though. The lamps flickered and flared again, but nobody seemed to want them. Suddenly, Diamond espied a little girl coming along a street. She was dreadfully blown by the wind, and a broom she was trailing behind her was very troublesome. It seemed as if the wind had a spite at her. It kept worrying her like a wild beast and tearing at her rags. She was so lonely there. "Oh, please, North Wind," he cried. "Won't you help that little girl?" "No, Diamond, I mustn't leave my work." "But why shouldn't you be kind to her?" "I am kind to her. I am sweeping the wicked smells away." "But you're kinder to me, dear North Wind. Why shouldn't you be as kind to her as you are to me?" "There are reasons, Diamond. Everybody can't be done to all the same. Everybody is not ready for the same thing." Here's the little girl with her broom being chastened or whatever is happening to her by the North Wind. There's the ocean, so calm for us. All right, I'll see if I can set this over here again. All right. "But I don't see why I should be kinder used than she. Do you think nothing's to be done but what you can see, Diamond, you silly? It's all right. Of course, you can help her if you like. You've got nothing particular to do at this moment. I have." "Oh, do let me help her then, but you won't be able to wait, perhaps." Right, to wait for him, pick him back up after he helps. "No, I can't wait. You must do it yourself. And mind, the wind will get a hold of you too." Wow. Wow. That's profound. Think about when you help other people sometimes. Don't you want me to help her, North Wind? Not without having some idea what will happen. If you break down and cry, that won't be much of a help to her, and it will make a goose of little Diamond. I want to go, said Diamond, only there's just one thing. How am I to get home? If you're anxious about that, perhaps you had better go with me. I am bound to take you home again, if you do. There, cried Diamond, who was still looking after the little girl. I'm sure the wind will blow her over and perhaps kill her. Do let me go. They had been sweeping more slowly along the line of the street. There was a lull in the roaring. Well, though, I cannot promise to take you home, said North Wind, as she sank nearer and nearer to the tops of the houses. I can promise you it will be all right in the end. You will get home somehow. Have you made up your mind what to do? Yes, to help the little girl, said Diamond firmly. The same moment, North Wind dropped into the street and stood only a tall lady, but with her hair flying over the housetops. She put her hand to her back, took Diamond, and set him down in the street. The same moment, he was caught in the fierce coils of the blast and all but blown away. North Wind stepped back a pace and at once towered in stature to the height of the houses. A chimney pot clashed at Diamond's feet. He turned in terror, but it was to look for the little girl. And when he turned again, the lady had vanished, and the wind was roaring along the street as if it had been the bed of an invisible torrent. The little girl was scudding before the blast, her hair flying too. Behind her, she dragged her broom. Her legs were going as fast as ever they could to keep from falling. Diamond crept into a shelter of a doorway, thinking to stop her, but she passed him like a bird, crying gently and pitifully. Wow. We're called to take care of widows and orphans and to visit those in prison. And I was thinking the other day how those in prison, when we're in addiction and stuff, we're in a kind of prison. And that doesn't mean don't have boundaries, you know? Anyway, I have literally a thousand other videos teaching about this, so I won't go into all of it here. This isn't the place. Stop, little girl, shouted Diamond, starting in pursuit. I can't, wailed the girl. The wind won't leave go of me. Diamond could run faster than she and had no broom. In a few moments he had caught her by the frock, but it tore in his hands, and away went the little girl. She had to run again, and this time he ran so fast that whoa, that's so funny, that he got before her. Okay. No, I'll never do the math if this camera turns off again. I mean, I probably could, but anyway. So he had to run again, and this time he ran so fast that he got before her and turned round, caught her in his arms. When down they both went together and made the little girl laugh in the midst of her crying. Where are you going? Asked Diamond, rubbing the elbow that had stuck farthest out. The arm it belonged to was twined round a lamppost as he stood between the little girl and the wind. Home, she said, gasping for breath. Then I will go with you, said Diamond, and they went, and they were silent for a while, for the wind blew worse than ever, and they had both to hold on to the lamppost. Where's your crossing? Asked the girl at length. I don't sweep, answered Diamond. What do you do then? Asked she. You ain't big enough for most things. I don't know what I do, answered he, feeling rather ashamed. Nothing, I suppose. My father's Mr. Coleman's coachman. Have you a father? She said, staring at him as if a boy with a father was a natural curiosity. Yes, haven't you? Returned Diamond. No, nor mother. Old Sal's all I've got. And she began to cry again. Oh, look, there's the widows and the orphans. Wow. And I kept getting that sense that God is both our mother and father on the way up here. That he would do. In John 15, it says, abide in me, remain in my love, and my joy will remain with you, and your joy will then be complete. It's so profound. I was seeing it like a lock a lock in a locker. Like if you're at school and everyone's been making fun of you, this is how I saw it. It was like, do this combination that Jesus is telling us, this secret mystery, this combination. And inside it's like $1 billion and keys to a mansion and passes that say, what doesn't matter if people make fun of you, you won't listen anymore. You'll be impervious to them. Like I saw all of that on the way up here when I was meditating. Anyway. So, nor mother neither. Old Sal's all I've got. And she began to cry again. I wouldn't go to her if she wasn't good to me, said Diamond. But you must go somewhere. Move on, said the voice of a policeman behind them. I told you so, said the girl. You must go somewhere. They're always at it. But old Sal doesn't beat you, does she? I wish she would. Wow. Okay, we'll see. Why? Look, it's always the best time for new beginnings is now. That's what it says on my shirt. What do you mean? Asked Diamond, quite bewildered. She would if she was my mother, but she wouldn't lie abed a cuddling of her ugly bones and laugh to hear me crying at the door. A cuddling of her You don't mean she won't let you in tonight? It'll be a good chance if she does. She probably won't be let in. Why are you out so late then? Asked Diamond. My crossing's a long way off at the west end, and I had been indulgent in doorsteps and muses. I don't know what muses are. We'd better have a try anyhow, said Diamond. Come along. And as he spoke, Diamond thought he caught a glimpse of North Wind turning a corner in front of them. And when they turned the corner too, they found it quite quiet there, but he saw nothing of the lady. Now you lead me, he said, taking her hand, and I'll take care of you. The girl withdrew her hand, but only to dry her eyes with her frock, for the other had enough to do with her broom. She put it in his again and led him, turning after turning, until they stopped at a cellar door in a very dirty lane. There she knocked. I shouldn't like to live here, said Diamond. Oh, yes, you would, if you had nowhere else to go to, answered the girl. I only wish we may get in. I don't want to get in, said Diamond. Where do you mean to go, then? Home, to my home. Where's that? I don't know. I don't exactly know. Then you're far worse off than I am. Oh, no, for North Wind, began Diamond. And stopped. He hardly knew why. What? Said the girl, as she held her ear to the door listening. But Diamond did not reply. Neither did old Sal. I told you so, said the girl. She's wide awake, hearkening. But we don't get in. What will you do then? Asked Diamond. Move on, she answered. Where? Oh, anywhere. Bless you, I'm used to it. Hadn't you better come home with me then? That's a good joke. When you don't know where it is, come on. But where? Oh, nowhere in particular. Come on. Diamond obeyed. The wind had now fallen considerably. Oh, did you just hear that? She said, Mama is winning. Mama is winning. Whoops, I don't put strangers in my videos unless I have their permission or they want to be. Like my friend on the Divine Masculine, but we didn't know what we were getting into on that video. So good. It's so amazing. All right, so I think here's old Sal. We'll see. I don't know. Come on, Diamond obeyed. The wind had now fallen considerably. They wandered on and on, turning in this direction and that, without any reason for one way more than another, until they had got out of the thick of the houses into a waste kind of place. But this time they were both very tired. Diamond felt a good deal inclined to cry, and thought he had been very silly to get down from the back of the North Wind. Not that he would have minded if he had done the girl any good, but he thought he had been of no use to her. He was mistaken there, for she was far happier for having Diamond with her than if she had been wandering about alone. She did not seem so tired as he was. Do let us rest a bit, said Diamond. Let's see, she answered. There's something like a railway there. Perhaps there's an open arch. Look where they are going to end up. This barrel. See, he wanted to cry because he felt like he wasn't helping her. But she was all the better because he was with her. They were wandering together, and the north wind had said eventually he would get home. So they went towards it and found one, and better still, there was an empty barrel lying under the arch. "Hello, there we are," said the girl. "A barrel's the jolliest bed going on the tramp. On the run. We'll have 40 winks and then go on again." She crept in, and Diamond crept in beside her. They put their arms round each other, and when he began to grow warm, Diamond's courage began to come. "This is jolly," he said. "I am so glad." "I don't think so much of it," said the girl. "I'm used to it, I suppose, but I can't think how a kid like you comes to be out all alone this time of the night." Aww. So sweet. So sweet. I hope it's ministering to your heart. It's healing something I was just asking about early this morning. Something I was sad about from the past. But there's this prayer where you give God all your memories, all your understanding, all your liberties, and your entire will, and you ask only his love and grace, because he has given all to you, so you give it all back to him. It's called Sucipe in Latin, Sucipe. St. Ignatius of Loyola introduced it to me in his book, The Exercises. She called him a kid, but she was not really a month older than he was, only she had had to work for her bread, and so soon makes people older. And that so soon makes people older. "But I shouldn't have been out so late if I hadn't got down to help you," said Diamond. "Northwind has gone home long ago. I think you must have got out of one of them. He'd get asylums." She's saying he's crazy, right? They often do, all right. "Anyway," said the girl, "you said something about the north wind afore, and I couldn't get the rights of." She couldn't make sense of it. So now, for the sake of his character, Diamond had to tell her the whole story. She did not believe a word of it. She said he wasn't such a flat as to believe. She said she wasn't such a flat as to believe all that bosh. But as she spoke, there came a great blast of wind through the arch and set the barrel rolling, so they made haste to get out of it, for they had no notion of being rolled over and over, as if they had been packed tight and wouldn't hurt, like a barrel of herrings. There's hay around, but not them. "I thought we should have had a sleep," said Diamond, "but I can't say I'm very sleepy after all. Come, let's go on again." They wandered on and on, sometimes sitting on a doorstep, but always turning into lanes or fields when they had a chance. They found themselves at last on a rising ground that sloped rather steeply on the other side. It was a waste kind of spot below, bounded by an irregular wall with a few doors in it. Outside lay broken things in general, from garden rollers to flower pots and wine bottles. But the moment they reached the brow of the rising ground, a gust of wind seized them and blew them downhill. That's so funny. It blew my page, as if and I didn't know how long this chapter would be, but it's just that long, so we'll finish it. As fast as they could run, nor could Diamond stop before he went bang against one of the doors in the wall. To his dismay, it burst open. When they came to themselves, they peeped in. It was the back door of a garden. Ah, cried Diamond, after starting for a few moments. "I thought so. North Wind takes nobody in. Here, I'm in Master's garden," right? Back where the primrose was. "I tell you what, little girl, you just bore a hole in old Sal's wall and put your mouth on it and say, 'Please, North Wind, mayn't I go out with you?' And then you'll see what'll come. I dare say I shall, but I'm out in the wind too often already to want more of it." "I said with the north wind, not in it." "It's all one. It's not all one. It is all one, but I know best, and I know better. I'll box your ears," said the girl. Oh, that's what happens when you've been beat around like that. Sometimes you get stubborn. Any of us do. In the bad, in that it's always going to be bad, but it's not. But anyway, Diamond got very angry, but he remembered that even if she did box his ears, he mustn't box hers again, for she was a girl. And all that boys must do, if girls are rude, is to go away and leave them. So he went in at the door. Oh, like, I'm so sorry if I've ever been rude. Right? As a girl. Goodbye, mister, said the girl. This brought Diamond to his senses. Oh, I'm sorry I was cross, he said. Come in, and my mother will give you some breakfast. No, thank you. I must be off to my crossing. It's morning now. I'm very sorry for you, said Diamond. Well, it is a life to be tired of, what with old Sal and so many holes in my shoes. I wonder, you're so good. I should kill myself. Don't know why she's saying that, because he's so nice to her, maybe. Oh, no, you wouldn't. When I think of it, I always want to see what's coming next, and so I always wait till next is over. Well, I suppose there's somebody happy somewhere, but it ain't in them carriages. Oh my, how they do look sometimes, fit to bite your head off. Goodbye. She ran up the hill and disappeared behind it. Then Diamond shut the door as he best could and ran through the kitchen garden to the stable. And wasn't he glad to get into his own blessed bed again? All right. Oops. So the next chapter is called The Summer House, chapter 5. All right. So we'll end there. Lovely to spend time with you. Thank you. Much love.